An AI workflow creates value only when people actually use it. In this topic, we'll shift from configuring workflow steps to designing experiences that business users can understand, trust, and improve in real enterprise work. Up to this point, you've built the foundation: what Regrello AI is, where it creates value, and how operational workflows are modeled. You've also seen routing, approvals, escalations, and AI-assisted configuration. Now the checkpoint is adoption. A workflow succeeds when business users can understand it, trust it, maintain it, and use it confidently in daily work. Even a technically perfect workflow can fail. If people don't know what to do, why it matters, or what happens next, they create workarounds. Usability builds confidence, and confidence is what turns workflow design into real adoption. User-centered workflow design starts with the people doing the work. Before modeling steps or configuring systems, identify each role, what they own, and where they face constraints, such as time, approvals, data access, or policy. Then look at daily patterns. When tasks happen, what interrupts them, and what information users need in the moment. A good workflow turns that understanding into clear actions, minimal choices, and fast completion. It should feel easy for new users and efficient for experienced users. Clear tasks reduce hesitation. A weak label like supplier step forces the user to interpret the process, identify the owner, and guess the expected outcome. A strong task tells them exactly what to do. Review supplier documents by a specific date, assigned to a named person, with a defined output. Be explicit about the task type as well. Is the user taking action, reviewing, approving, entering information, or simply acknowledging? The more precise the task is, the less support it needs, and the more reliably the workflow gets adopted. Effective form design begins with the decision the workflow needs to make. From there, collect only the data required for that step, not every detail someone might want later. Choose controls that guide accurate entry. Drop-downs for standard choices, date pickers for dates, required fields for critical items, and validation for common mistakes. Group related questions and label them in plain language. Use conditional fields to hide anything irrelevant. Then test with real users, because the best form is one people can complete quickly, correctly, and with minimal confusion. Workflow notifications should act like a filter, not a megaphone. They should interrupt people only when something needs action, awareness, or escalation. Urgent alerts should feel different from routine updates, so teams do not become numb to every ping. Each message should answer 4 quick questions: what changed, which task is affected, when it matters, and what the user should do next. Context turns an alert into guidance. Frequency matters too. A manager may need high-priority exceptions, while an observer may only need summaries. The goal is trust. When a notification arrives, people should believe it deserves attention. Adoption improves when people do not have to chase updates. A good workflow system makes status visible at 3 levels. Contributors see their tasks, process owners see bottlenecks across the flow, and leaders see the exceptions that need attention. Clear labels like on track, delayed, at risk, and block turn uncertainty into action. They reduce repeated questions and help teams focus on the constraint, not the search for information. Summaries add another layer by translating dashboard signals into plain language, so users quickly understand what happened, why, and what to do next. Workflow friction appears when the system makes work feel harder than doing it outside the system. To reduce it, inspect each step and ask, what value does this create? Keep steps that support decisions, compliance, visibility, or execution. Simplify steps that create waiting, rework, duplicate entry, unclear ownership, or notification noise. The goal is not to remove all control. It is to create a smoother path where users know what to do, who owns it, and why it matters. Good automation starts with a boundary. If a task is repetitive, rules-based, predictable, and low risk, let the system handle it, such as reminders or standard approval routing. As risk rises or the situation becomes ambiguous, humans need to review and decide. That includes contract exceptions, supplier risk escalations, or anything requiring business judgment. The key is not simply choosing automate or don't automate. It is designing override paths, exception handling, and monitoring. That way, speed improves without sacrificing accuracy, accountability, or user trust. Approvals are useful when they protect the business. A real decision, material cost, compliance exposure, or elevated risk. But every extra approver adds waiting, confusion, and another chance for users to work around the process. The goal is not more control. It is the right control at the right moment. Escalations should follow the same logic. Trigger them only when conditions are clear, such as overdue work or risk signals, and route them to someone who can act. When people understand why approval is needed, adoption improves. Ownership is another common adoption risk. Every task should have one clear responsible role, named contributors, and a defined approver. If ownership is shared, spell out who acts first, who handles exceptions, and who serves as backup. Route work by role rather than by individual whenever possible, because people move, teams and responsibilities change. Also separate task ownership from process ownership. A task owner completes a step. A process owner watches the whole workflow, removes friction, and stays accountable for long-term health. Before launching a workflow broadly, test it with a small group that reflects real roles and scenarios. Run the obvious path first. Then deliberately test edge cases, exceptions, overdue tasks, and escalations. Watch for hesitation. If users pause, ask questions, or move the conversation to chat or email, the workflow is signaling friction. Verify the AI pieces carefully as well. Suggestions, summaries, and routing decisions should match what users expect and what policy requires. Capture every issue, refine the design, and retest. A pilot is not a formality. It is controlled risk reduction. Adoption is not something you check once after launch. It becomes part of the operating rhythm. Start by tracking whether people are actually completing work in the system. Completion rates, overdue tasks, follow-ups, and active participation. Then look at workflow quality, cycle time, rework, exceptions, and approval delays. The numbers show where friction exists, but user feedback explains why. Use both to refine forms, notifications, routing, and automation rules. Over time, the workflow becomes simpler, faster, and more trusted. The main lesson is that adoptable workflows are designed around people. Clear tasks, simple forms, useful alerts, and visible status build confidence. Friction comes from extra steps, unclear ownership, too many approvals, or automation that users do not trust. Keep testing and improving. In Module 3, we'll use workflow data for process intelligence and better decisions.